several years. She's been a presenter like at least 3 years in a row.
Third time.
So she's just really got great stuff to share. And so
thanks. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to tell you just a little bit about my past so you can figure out where I'm headed in the future. So my background is in horticulture. I studied that at the University of Georgia a million years ago. And I have just always really, really loved plants ever since I was little, as long as I can remember. And I loved plants so much that I became a teacher so I could teach other people how to love plants. And it turns out I really loved starting farm to school programs, and I loved the education component of it. And so I became a teacher for 8 years. And then COVID happened. I got out of teaching. I am now a recovering teacher, and I became a permaculture designer. And so I own my own permaculture design business where I do mostly small residential urban food forests. And I also work with a design co-op where I do large land restoration projects as well with designers from all over the world. And then my most recent badge is community activist or community organizer. And so that all happened 3 years ago when I moved to Colorado Springs. And so my husband got his dream job at a school in Colorado Springs. And as we were looking for a house to live in, we had 2 criteria. The first one was that it had to be biking distance for my husband, who rides his bike to work every day. And then the other one was we worked at this boarding school in Arizona, halfway in between Phoenix and Flagstaff, and it was very rural, and it took 45, 50 minutes to get to a grocery store. One of my old students is here, she knows. And so I wanted to be able to walk places. And so we found this gem of a neighborhood called Stratton Meadows that is about 2 miles south of downtown, so an easy bike ride into downtown, and I can walk to a grocery store, the movie theater, to restaurants. And what's amazing is that this little gem of a neighborhood and not gem of a clicker. Okay, so this gem of a neighborhood turned out to be actually the only affordable place that met both of our criterias. And it is this magical little land of affordability surrounded by the wealthiest areas of Colorado Springs. And so it's this overlooked, underserved neighborhood area that we just feel so fortunate to have found. One reason it stays so affordable is that they're very small houses. They were built in the 50s for military housing, and they average about 800 square feet. And the lot size is about 6,000 square feet. So this is the house that we bought, and bought it sight unseen. We were leaving Arizona and headed to Colorado, and this is what we got. And we love it so much. It is the exact size that we need. It's just my husband and I. And the yard was exactly what I wanted as a permaculture landscape designer. A blank slate is a beautiful thing. So I was all about it. Those tulips are still in the yard. They are looking amazing as of last week. So loved the house, loved the yard. What I did not love was that we finished unpacking the U-Haul and nobody came and introduced themselves or welcomed themselves. A week later, still no welcome to the neighborhood from the neighborhood. Then a month later, not even eye contact from anyone. There was like zero engagement going on. I grew up in Georgia, where in my neighborhood, everyone knew everyone. And I also had been working at this boarding school where everybody's all up in your business. And so I was missing this sense of community. So I decided, well, I'm going to make a conversation piece out of my yard and give people something to talk about. So this is also what the backyard looks like. And so you can see there's a lot of potential. So I also didn't realize as we bought this house sight unseen what a amazing location within the neighborhood it is. So that heart is really the heart of the neighborhood. It's almost literally the center of the neighborhood. And then do we have what's the laser? Top one? Ooh, it's a laser. Okay, so running east to west, that street right there is the main artery through the neighborhood. So the public bus runs on that. It's designated as a bicycle boulevard. It gets a ton of pedestrian traffic. And then this street gets a ton of traffic also as the elementary school kids walk down here to the community center. That's where the after school and before school care is. So, and then tons of people on this side of the neighborhood are cutting through our lovely public park and then headed to the community center and up to the elementary school. So tons and tons of traffic. And so it was really the perfect spot to have a demonstration garden to show the neighborhood what can happen with an urban food forest. So I got to designing, and number one, I wanted to cram as many plants as I could in my little 1/7 of an acre. And then all of these circles are values that were very important to me, values or features that I wanted to demonstrate in the design. Oh yeah, I also wanted it to feel like this. So impacted by Willy Wonka when I was little, and I really wanted this landscape to inspire awe, to inspire curiosity, to inspire discovery, and I also wanted it to have a lot of snacks. So this is what I was after. And then very inspired by Brad Lancaster, I planted the rain before I planted my plants. So marked out where I needed to go in my pathways, and then I dug out the beds. So they're all sunken about 6 to 8 inches. And I took that soil and I put it in the pathways to raise the pathways up. And now the pathways are mulched, but when it rains, it does run into the beds so that it captures the water there. And then I also have diverted the downspouts to where I want the water the most. So at the end of that arrow is a mulberry tree. At the end of this arrow is my prized possession, which is a peach tree. As a Georgia girl, you need a peach tree. And so that gets a lot of water from the other side of the downspouts. And then you can see in those other 2 beds, they don't get any downspout water. So it's really important that they have drought tolerant native plants in there. So now there's chokecherries and American plum. So I planted my water, and then it was time to plant the plants. So this is in the backyard. The previous photos were the front yard, and this is my apple tree guild. So I have that canopy tree in there with lots of diversity, really packing in the diversity and trying to offer as many ecological functions as I can through the different plants and getting some food out of it. This is my plum tree guild. And then this is my cherry tree guild. So really fitting a lot of plants into this small area. And then the center of the yard is more where I do some annual vegetables, but I also mix them into these guilds as well. So this is what the front yard looks like now. So that's within 2.5 years. And what's been amazing is it has generated conversation in the neighborhood, exactly what I hoped would happen. So as I'm working out in the front yard gardening, people will stop and talk to me, which is really great. And now my next door neighbor, Jerry, who she used to come over and tell me how beautiful the yard used to look 10 years ago when it had lush green grass. But now actually she texted me an hour ago asking if I would come over and tell her where to put her compost pile. So she comes over and she asks me for advice, and she loves what I'm doing. And now we're super close and we bring our packages in for each other. And so we've really built this relationship, which has been great. So here's what's happened. That's my house. And then there's Jerry, that now we're friends and we connected over my yard. And then I met Beatrice. She was out in her driveway and I gave her a giant wave and she gives me a wave back. And I ran over to talk to her, and she was saying that she liked what I was doing with my yard and that her dad was a landscape architect and she grew up with a lot of plants. So then we bonded over plants again. So then she introduces me to her next door neighbor. And then I got an energy audit done for my house and realized we had dust bunnies acting as the insulation in our attic. So it was very inefficient. And so I was telling Jerry about how we don't have insulation in our attic. And she was like, oh, well, Jackie is an insulation installer. So Jackie installed my insulation. I met her and now we're friends. And then that's Mike. He grows great tomatoes. That is Jimmy. He has a huge mature apple tree in his backyard. And then the pink one is Lonzo. He has a huge mature peach tree in his yard, both willing to share. So it's really been lighting up the neighborhood. That's our new neighbor. She was watching me admire my tulips yesterday, or not yesterday, last week. And she screams over, "Hey, what are you looking at?" And I was like, "I got tulips coming up." And she's like, "Yeah." So we bonded over my tulips and now we're friends. And then this guy, Andrew, on the corner, turns out his hobby is making compost tea. So he really connects us all together and he's a great asset to the neighborhood. So I started seeing what my yard was able to do. It really lit up our block and it feels so vibrant now. And so I started thinking, if this is our block and my yard was able to do that, think about the whole rest of the neighborhood if we get more yards like this in. This is the backyard after 2.5 years, and this is actually now the venue of our garden club meeting space. So the neighbors decided we liked talking about gardening together. So we got together once a month to talk about gardens, and we hang out on my patio to the side there, and it's our garden club meeting space. And we have a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of entertainment back there too, because within 2.5 years, we started seeing so much biodiversity. We started with house finches being the only birds that came into our yard for the first full year. Now we have 33 different species of birds that come in, and it's just a constant source of entertainment, and it's been so amazing. Okay, so that got the neighbors talking, but what really started a lot of conversation was the curb cuts. So when I moved to this neighborhood, I looked around and I said, "Oh my gosh, this neighborhood looks exactly like Dunbar Spring, Brad Lancaster's neighborhood." So I was so inspired and I knew that we would have curb cuts. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, but even before we unpacked the moving boxes when we moved in, I was digging out the right-of-way bed. It had been mounded with soil, so it just repelled all water off of it. But then I dug out the soil, super hard as a rock. It took forever, but me and a shovel dug that out and prepared it for one day when I was able to, when I knew I was going to cut the curb. So here's what happened, how I did it. I had a group of people that were working with me, and we went to the city and we said, "Hey, we want to do these curb cuts." Everyone we talked to, they all said, "Oh, that's such a great idea. We love this, but we're not the ones who would make this decision. You have to talk to these 10 people." So I would talk to those 10 people. Exact same conversation every time. "Oh my God, we love this. This is such a good idea. I'm not the one who could make this decision." Talk to these 10 people. So eventually I talked to so many people and eventually made it to Patrick Morris in the Public Works Department, who was like, "Okay, let's try it. Let's make you a pilot project for the city and let's do it." So he came out and supervised the cutting. And then May, so almost a year ago, we got the curb cut. And it was so exciting. It rained that afternoon. It was this magical, magical situation. So I posted this video on social media, so excited about these curb cuts. First raindrops fall, and I'm out there watching it go through the curb cuts. And it went viral. People were very excited about it. And so you can see down here, almost 14,000 people saw it. Not that many people are generally looking at my social media. If you probably can't read the comments because they're small, but people are very excited. So many people said, "How do I get this in my city? How do I help you? I live in an apartment, but I want to help other people have these. So how can I help?" So we started this curb cut club that started meeting monthly. But unfortunately, it spread so far that it spread to a water rights owner down the watershed from me, who decided that this was a violation of water rights, and so filed a formal complaint with the State Engineer's Office of Colorado. They call Colorado Springs. I get a frantic message from Stormwater Management saying, "You can't tell people to do this. This is, you're violating water rights. You don't have permission." And I was like, "I already talked to you. I literally told you what I was doing and you said it was a great idea," but also was one of the people who said they couldn't make the decision. So it's on hold at the moment. We're waiting for a letter from the state engineers to tell us if this is a violation of water rights or not. So it's a little hiccup in the plan. I hope that it breaks open a bigger issue that we're able to move forward from this. So on hold for now. But what's really cool is this is actually the core that came out of the curb cut of the curb core. And I have it on my desk as a trophy. And it's a reminder that I can do hard things. And it's also a reminder that this is a small part of something bigger. That I know that this is a seed that I have planted, and right now it's just kind of dormant, waiting to grow bigger. But in the meantime, I'm doing bigger things. So here's what I'm working on. It is the Stratton Meadows Regenerative Neighborhood Project. So the mission is to cultivate environmental, economic, and community vitality using innovative and nature-based solutions. And then really my mission is just that urban neighborhoods become the model for regenerative living. So there's three main elements to this plan. The first one is a neighborhood-wide food forest. The second one is energy-efficient retrofits to the homes. The third one is an eco-credit marketplace. So I'll tell you more about each one of these. So the neighborhood-wide food forest basically is taking individual residential properties and designing and implementing individual food forests for interested homeowners. And that eventually, as more people are interested in this program, there's more landscapes and it evolves into a neighborhood-wide food forest. So these are the initiatives I'm wanting to achieve. And then there's the energy efficient retrofit. So when we did our home energy audit, we found out those dust bunny insulation bunnies were not doing anything. And I started thinking how many more houses are like that in my neighborhood and how many people are living with these super inefficient houses. So many people in my neighborhood. It's a low income neighborhood where 80% of the people are considered low income, don't have AC. So it's really hot in there. It's really cold in there in the winter. So really working on getting the homes more energy efficient, lowering utility bills, and making it a better place. And then the last part is the eco-credit marketplace. So I decided if I'm planting trees all over the neighborhood and sequestering carbon in the trees and in the soil, regenerating the soil, increasing biodiversity, easing the stormwater management system, that started thinking about carbon credits. And then I started doing a lot of research about carbon credits. And I thought, well, why can't my neighborhood be a carbon offset project? And then as I did more research, I learned that there's not just carbon credits, there are biodiversity credits and there's clean water credits and there's all sorts of credits that companies are buying to offset the greenhouse gases that they're producing and to work towards their sustainability initiatives for their companies. So I invented this thing in my head that we would have this local eco credit marketplace where I would generate these local eco credits. But then as I researched and talked to more people, I've been talking to a lot of people, I learned I didn't invent it. Someone else thought of it first and is doing it, which is so great because now I can just copy it. So Carbon Neutral Indiana, they have a local marketplace where they're selling their eco credits. And then Carbon Positive Kansas City is emulating what they did. So my next step is to be in touch with them and figure out how I can copy that for Colorado Springs, so that these eco credits can then generate revenue that can then be reinvested back into the community for more of these projects. And then here are some of the people that I've been working with. Kono is a nonprofit in Colorado Springs that their goal is that everyone loves their neighborhood. And so they've been great support for community organizing. And then, am I out of time? I've also been working with Colorado Springs, the city, but you can see that Department of Innovation and Sustainability is crossed out. Unfortunately, I was making such great headway with them. I was the department leader, had like 10 different grants that we could apply for. And then the next week they dissolved the entire Department of Sustainability for Colorado Springs. So I started working with the Department of Housing and Community Vitality instead. But a main partner is the Fountain Creek Watershed that we have partnered and written a grant for the USDA Urban Agriculture and Innovative Production Grant. If we got that, it would pay for a master plan design of the neighborhood. It would allow us to install 12 pilot project landscapes and design them as demonstration sites that would then inspire other neighbors. And then there's a big educational component to it also, where we'll have monthly workshops where anybody in the neighborhood can come and learn how to install a food forest and maintain it themselves. And then there's also a neighborhood food forest online course where people could take this course and learn in their own time, in their pajamas. One part that I need help with is data collection. So that's really a next step. I am a dreamer, I am a visionary, I am a planner, I am a designer, but I am not a data collector. So I need help with this so that I can actually prove that we're making a difference. So these are my next steps of figuring out how to best team up with people who can help me with that. And then the last step is demonstration site number 2 on May 18th. This is my neighbor's house, the crown jewel of the neighborhood for me, because it's right on that very important intersection with all of that pedestrian traffic. And we got a grant with the Fountain Creek watershed that we're going to plant rain basins with fruit trees and edible plants, so guilds at the ends of the downspouts there. And so provide them with a food forest in the front yard, which will be very educational, have demonstration signs, and it's going to be great. And we're actually blocking off that side street and making it a huge neighborhood block party so that people can watch us or people can come and plant if they want to. And I think also the mayor might be coming and definitely some city council people. So it's going to be a great event. So my hope is that the SWAAN conference next year, I'll be back talking to you about what a wild success demonstration site number 2 is going to be. So, and hopefully it inspires lots more neighbors, and we'll have a third one soon after that. So, thank you guys so much for letting me tell you about this. Let me know if you have any questions or ways of collaborating, and I would love to talk to you. Thank you.